Welcome, everyone, to just a few tips for Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning. Things that you should know before you start. And I'm actually gonna let me get in here and sort of change the sound options just in case. It might be difficult to hear me. Music off. There we go. Now, there are a few tricks to Amalur, and I love Kingdoms of Amalur. The original was so much fun. There's so much content. The writing is really good. The combat, even today, is really good. Very, very smooth combat, very responsive. You've got good combinations. You can juggle enemies. You've got a variety of weapons that all feel different. Magic spells and abilities. You can really build your character how you want and respec anytime into anything that you want to do. And so this is one of the better designed games that's ever been made, in my opinion, and I absolutely love it. But the game has its quirks, and there are some things that you should definitely be aware of before you get into playing the game. The first of those is currently it appears that there is an achievement for playing on hard mode. And in order to get that achievement, from reports on the forums or the Discord and whatnot, you need to play the entire game through all the way on hard mode in order to get that achievement. Even if you want to play on very hard, you won't get the hard achievement for beating it on very hard. So you need to play through on hard all the way through. And that's unfortunate. You would think that if you played through on very hard, you'd be able to get the hard mode achievement. You do not. So better off to beat the entire game on hard mode, and then go back through with very hard, save, switch it over to very hard later, and then you can play through on very hard. The next thing to know is that you can totally screw up your character without knowing it. And the way that'll happen is each of the races have +2 in one skill or another. So you'll get to choose between 4 races. Each of those races has a +2 right out of the gate on one of your skills. That's handy, but if you use the skill book for that skill, so there are skill books in the world that you can get, which will give you a +1 permanent increase to your skill. If you use that skill book before using your basic trainer, so for each of the skills, there are 2 basic trainers, 2 advanced, and 2 basic trainers, 1 advanced, and 1 master trainer. So you can increase your skill +4 permanently by going to each of those trainers, but you need to use each of those trainers before you hit the skill cap for the given skill. And so for that +2 skill that you have, if you use the skill book first before using your trainers, then you effectively lock yourself out of being able to use one of the trainers, which means that you can never max out all of your skills on your character. If you're careful about it and you use each of the basic trainers twice before you use the skill book, then you can max out all of your skills on your character. So you're better off holding off on using any skill increasing items or skill books until you use each of the basic trainers. Now, the other thing to be aware of is that the original game had a level locking mechanic. So the first time you zoned into a given region, or even got near to one of the tunnels linking some of the regions, then you would effectively lock the level of the enemies and the loot to whatever level your character happened to be at that time. So you could vastly out level certain areas. And also, if you sort of had an adventurous spirit and you like going out and seeing new areas, you'd basically lock all of those areas to your level at the time that you entered. So you couldn't use those areas later to level up or anything like that or get better loot. And that locked the chests as well. In the remaster, they have fixed enemy scaling. So the enemies will get more difficult depending on what your level are up until the maximum level for that area. So for example, the stone candle mines, which are sort of right near the beginning of the game after you exit the tutorial. You can go into there. That zone has a level of 1 to 12. If you're on hard or very hard, then that can go up to, I think, plus 15 total. So level 1 to 15. And so whatever level you happen to be when you zone into Stone Candle Mine, it'll scale all the way up to level 15. Unfortunately, what it looks like the devs didn't get right or didn't fix is that the amount of experience that the enemies reward still locks to the level you are when you first enter that area. So as with the original Kingdoms of Amalur, re-reckoning hasn't really fixed this issue, right? So basically, if you want to get the best rewards in the game and be able to hit max level and all of this, basically what you're going to want to do is with each area that you go into, try and level up as much as possible within that area to the extent your patience can tolerate it, and do all of the quests in that area before proceeding on to the next area. And you'll want to hit level 40, which is the maximum level for the game, as quickly as possible so that when you're getting quest rewards and set items and everything like that that you're finding, that you will get the best versions of those items. It looks like chests in Re-Reckoning are also not respawning, so it's not like you can go back and just loot the chest again later when you're level 40, right? So the other thing to note is until you're level 40, you probably really do not want to loot any chests, right? So just don't loot anything. Get whatever items you can off of the enemies that you kill. Learn to blacksmith to make your own weapons and armor. Blacksmithing is really, really powerful still, so it's a good way to go. But until the devs actually fix the scaling, I would recommend that you don't loot any chests and that you try and level up as much as possible within each area before proceeding on to the next. That's unfortunate. I would much rather that all of the zones could scale all the way up to maximum level, that experience rewards and loot from the enemies would also scale up to maximum level, and that the chest would also scale up to maximum level based on whatever level you are when you happen to enter the zone the most recent time. Right, and so that you could always like go back to another area, it'd still be challenging content, and you could still get rewards for doing that content, right? You could still level up even in the very first zone. Unfortunately, that's not the case, and you really need to be careful about how quickly you progress into new areas in the game. So you really, in fact, I would recommend just hitting level 40 as soon as you can. Maybe even consider using Cheat Engine. I never use Cheat Engine, but this is one case where until the devs fix that, you probably, it's something to consider. But for me, I'm going to do a playthrough on hard mode so that I get all of the achievements. I hope along the way the devs will patch the game and fix it so that level enemies, the experience they reward, the loot that they reward, and the chests, reward for the chests, all scale to whatever level your character happens to be at that time. Let's hope that they patch that. If not, then, oh well. But those are some of the things that you should really know so that you don't end up sinking a bunch of time into a character only to find out that you've screwed your game entirely. So just a few things to keep in mind. We'll see you back for the live stream playthrough that I'm going to do on hard mode. Hope you found this informative. Thanks for watching.